that could be a flip the other way, which would put a real, as we've talked about, a real dent in his hopes. So we obviously will wait that one with interest. And Brett, you got Senate races coming up?
I do. Time now for some Senate race calls. Fox News can project, this is not a shocker, Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah will easily win a second term, defeating Democratic challenger Misty Snow, the first openly transgender person to be a major party nominee for U.S. Senate. Fox News can also project that Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa will win a seventh term by handily beating Democrat Patty Judge, according to Fox exit polls. And it's interesting that this race at the beginning of this cycle was seen by Democrats as one that they thought that they could pick off, along with John McCain, which also didn't seem like it materialized.
No, it did not. But the most important Senate race of the hour is in Nevada, where Republican Joe Heck is competing with Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto to replace retiring Democratic Senator Harry Reid, who also serves as Senate Majority Leader right now. The Republicans once saw this race as their best opportunity for a Senate pickup. Keep in mind that the map for them this year looks very bad. They have to defend way more seats than the Democrats do. So they liked the seat in Nevada for a GOP pickup. But the polls have tightened, and now this race could go either way. We can't call it right now.
By the way, just remember, the net gain, Democrats need +5 net gain to take over control. That's 4 plus the White House. And then on the House side, they need +30, which it does not look like they will get. Joining us now from Donald Trump's headquarters tonight is Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, thanks for being here. What's your take right now?
Well, we're up in the war room watching returns with Mr. Trump, and we're feeling buoyant about what's still left to calculate. And a lot of our internal polls reflected what you see tonight, which is why we put Mr. Trump and Governor Pence in some of these states, trying to flip a blue state or two into red, and trying to protect our core four: Ohio, Iowa, Florida, and North Carolina. That's been our strategy for the last several months. And we're just really happy about the transition that we've seen from those exit polls earlier on, for what that's worth. When those start to fade into view and when the actual returns come due, you see a big difference. And we're really excited that all these crowds that came out to support Mr. Trump, record crowds, actually meant something. Many people dismiss them as being unimportant, but it turns out that if you stand in line for 4 or 5 hours to go to a Trump rally, you're going to stand in line for 1 or 2 hours to vote for him.
Kellyanne, the white working class in this country has long been sort of a forgotten voting group in many ways. And Mr. Trump has energized them from the beginning. And tonight we are seeing them come out in droves for him. Speak to the effect that's happening, that their vote is having tonight, and what that's like for Donald Trump, who's been speaking to them from the beginning.
Megan, you basically just encapsulated the core of the Trump candidacy. And when I travel around with him, and frankly, when I look at data, I see the same thing, which is that he's been able to energize the forgotten man and forgotten woman and take my party, the Republican Party, away from veering dangerously close to becoming the party of the elites, which is what it was doing, and becoming more the party of the working man and working woman. They just want a voice. You know, I travel with him. I was raised in a very blue-collar household and non-college educated area, and I see in these people, wherever we go, the same type of just essential goodness like the people I grew up with, but also people who feel frustrated. They want somebody to look out for them. They do think the system is rigged against them. They feel like all they want is a fair opportunity and a break. And, you know, I have to say, Donald Trump, Megan, elevating issues that were in the bottom of the issues basement, like trade and immigration, and even patriotism, you know, never really reflected in the survey polling, is pretty remarkable. And as you know, the first day he did this, all the way up to last night in Manchester, New Hampshire, Grand Rapids, Michigan, overflow crowds. People are so excited to be there. They're not complaining. They're buoyant. They're energized. And they rarely say to him, "May I have your autograph?" or "I loved you on The Apprentice." They always say to him, "Can you bring jobs back to this part of my state?" or "Thank you so much for running and for loving America." So it's been incredible. And you know, we know we're going to win tonight, but come what may, he built a movement, and people feel like they're truly part of it.
Kellyanne, you still have to win part of the blue wall that they talk about. What is the state that you are going to pick off, the Trump campaign is going to pick off, that you think you're best positioned at this moment to take? You've just lost Virginia. We just called Virginia. And there are questions about where you are in Michigan and Minnesota and other places.
So it could be any of those. It could be Colorado, Nevada, Pennsylvania is still out there, Michigan, New Hampshire, I think the point is when I'm watching your coverage tonight, when you look at the 8 or 9 states that Fox News and others are calling, quote, too close to call, all but one are states that President Obama carried twice. These should be in Hillary Clinton's column. She should comfortably have these states already. And here we are at 10 p.m. Eastern saying they're too close to call. And this has been our strategy. Don't just wait around for her to go from the 248 protected blue wall and find those 22 electorates. Let's go dip into her 248. But right now, Brett, I can see it being 1 or 2 of the following of Colorado or Michigan or Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Nevada. But they're all reaches only because they really do belong in the Democratic column. We've just been trying to get over there and sneak a grab on 1 or 2 of them.
Kellyanne, great to see you tonight. Thank you very much for being here. I want to get back now to Karl Rove, Chris Stirewalt, Juan Williams, Steve Hayes, and Tucker Carlson, all of whom are with us. Steve, let me start with you because you haven't weighed in on what we've seen so far tonight.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. I mean, remember back in 2012, there was the one candidate quality that jumped off the page, and it was that people felt that Barack Obama cared for people like them more than Mitt Romney did, and the gap was like 82 to 13 or something. Well, there's a similar result tonight, and I think we've talked about it a little bit earlier. Nearly 4 in 10 Americans said the most important candidate quality is can bring needed change. They voted for Donald Trump 82 to 13. I think when we look at the results tonight, we look at what we're seeing and what seems to be this trend. And as Tucker was saying earlier, you know, maybe a miss by some pollsters. That's the number that's going to jump out. I think that's the number that could tell us maybe more about anything than any other number that we see tonight.
And Juan, what do you think? I mean, there are now a number of different sites that have shifted their percentages. Obviously, we determine our percentages on the decision desk, but this is a huge call right now. We're just getting told that North Carolina Senate can be called. Fox News projects that incumbent Republican Richard Burr will win that close race against the Democrat Deborah Ross. This was nip and tuck in a state that was not sure how it was going to go. We still haven't called the governor's race here, but this is the sitting incumbent Republican senator who's the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He was in a tough race down there. It was believed at one point he was trailing, and then they threw a lot of money into this race. And Deborah Ross, who's a lawyer for the ACLU, was not a perfect fit for this candidate, this nominee at the beginning, but Democrats suddenly thought that they had a real chance to pick this off. The fact that the Republicans have won the Senate seat in North Carolina now seems like it is more likely that they will hold on to the U.S. majority, the majority in the U.S. Senate, which would mean that Mitch McConnell would stay the majority leader, and that would be a big deal. Juan, your reaction to that, because this is a big race.
So, to me, I already lost money tonight to Dana Perino.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know why you picked on me, but I got to think that when you look now to Missouri, to what's going on there with Roy Blunt, you got to, you know, that just becomes so critical. We know Joe Heck, again, the Republican in Nevada, trying to take on that seat from Harry Reid. Again, another critical step. But as I said, Todd Young managed to beat Evan Bayh in Indiana. And we know, of course, that the Ron Johnson seat is still sitting there. And Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania. So these are some outstanding. I think, though, the odds, right, I thought going in was about a little bit of a Democratic lean in terms of Senate majority tonight. Now I think with this seat there, I think it's back to coin flip totally.
I want to talk about New Hampshire, which is still one of the many states too close to call at this hour. And what we're getting from our reporter on the ground there is that the party GOP in New Hampshire is feeling cautiously optimistic. They say there are a number of Republican strongholds that have yet to come in. Counties there are Merrimack, Salem, Derry, and feeling pretty good about the top of the ticket and the results outstanding in New Hampshire, which, you know, was Joe Trippy's favorite state. He's not here to discuss it right now.
but in spirit.
But that would be significant for Donald Trump, and he's very much in play there tonight.
This was one of Trump's best states in the polls. The polls are predicted a Trump win here, or at least a very close race. I would expect him to do well in New Hampshire. It fits his blueprint well. You have a lot of blue-collar voters. You have it's in the Northeast, and apparently Tom Brady likes him, so that should be good with the Pats fans. So that's in keeping with what we would expect to see.